Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. After over 2 years of filming, you would think I know how to plug in a microphone, but I do not. So VoiceOver Jan is taking over. Today we are at the Botanic Gardens in the middle of Brisbane City, and I really just want to take you for a really casual browse through the garden and show you all of the beautiful plants. They're also setting up for an event called Lightscapes that's on every night, so you will see some weird structural things in the gardens throughout the tour as well. That's all because of this event that I think runs for a couple of months over winter and spring. Over here we see a bit of wildlife. I'm pretty sure this is an eel. And you can just see so many tropical plants, palms, and everything is super lush and just mega sized. For example, these bird's nest anthuriums over there. Anthuriums are commonly known as houseplants, but this is probably the perfect reminder that there is no such thing as houseplants. Look at those. I think they're Dean McDowell's or maybe pastors. They're obviously very commonly grown as houseplants, but first and foremost, all plants come from the outside world. There are just some plants that are more suitable to be kept indoors. And those are often tropical plants that don't appreciate too many ups and downs. They like consistency in temperatures, consistently warm temperatures as well. They don't like big dips, they like high humidity and so on. And that's exactly what Brisbane's climate has got to offer. Brisbane is a little further up north compared to Sydney, so it's closer to the equator, so warmer temperatures, higher humidity, and specifically winters aren't so cold. So for example, these colocasias over here, they still went dormant over winter, but you can see they're really coming out now that spring has sprung. It is only the 4th day of spring over here in Australia, and you can hardly see any winter damage on any of these plants, which just really shows that the Brisbane winter isn't quite as harsh as Sydney's winter, and even Sydney's winter isn't really that harsh overall. Now, as we're browsing through the garden over here, I was looking for as many labels as possible, but unfortunately I didn't find many labels on some of these plants. Some labels were so tiny I couldn't really see them, and I didn't want to trample through the garden beds. But this one, I'm pretty sure, is a traveler's palm. Traveler's palms are often getting confused with bird of paradise because the leaf shape is really similar, but this very nice fan-like structure is very much an indicator for this being a traveler's palm. The best way to identify it is usually the color of the flowers, but unfortunately this one didn't have flowers on it, or the flowers were dead. But have a look at how thick these trunks are. I would love to know how long this plant has been in that spot. Again, you can really see these fan-like structures. Traveler's palms just grow really neatly, whereas a bird of paradise is much more bushy, or it's more chaotic. But later in the tour, we'll also see one in bloom, and then I think the flowers will really show it. And here a little close-up of the fan-like structure. Now, what I really loved about this garden, probably my favorite part, were the heliconias throughout. This one is a Red Christmas. There you see these little labels. If I'm close enough, I can read it, but some labels were quite far away and the font is really small. But yeah, this one is Red Christmas heliconias, and I love how small they stay. This one is Orange Christmas. Again, I really love that pop of color of heliconias. Heliconias are definitely my newest obsession, so this garden suits me very well. We're gonna see a few of them. Another little bunch of heliconias, and this one did not have a label on it, but maybe it's Yellow Christmas. Who knows? I love that they're having all of these little pathways. You don't just have to walk through the main walkway, and usually when you take these little pathways, that's where you find most beauty. Over here, I'm not too sure if there was a red Congo maybe, or if there was a black cardinal. I'm actually really terrible with these philodendrons. I never really showed much interest, but they're definitely thriving. 2 little duckies down there, and of course they also have heaps of thaumatophyllums, as we have in Sydney as well. Another beautiful heliconia, this time with a flower that's hanging down. Unfortunately, no ID. But over here there was some nice, there must be in the ginger family, heaps more philodendron and another heliconia. This one is the kawachi, which is actually a plant that I also have in my garden. I grow mine in a pot, however, and it's not nearly as lush or in bloom. Just a couple of days before that, I was at the Botanic Gardens in Sydney, and they have heaps of heliconias as well, but none of theirs were in bloom just yet. So really another sign of Brisbane just being much warmer than Sydney this time of the year. Alrighty, then I found this building. I did a quick Google search. Turns out that's the Queensland Parliament. And yeah, I actually really enjoy how Brisbane has all of these more historic looking buildings right next to a lot of really nice new skyscrapers. And if you saw yesterday's vlog, you saw us crossing that sky deck at the top over there and having a look at all of the plants up there. Right, back into the garden. And I'm just pointing out how nice that there's bins everywhere. The small things that make the difference, right? Now, I'm usually focused on the understory when I walk through to Botanic Gardens. I actually really need to remind myself to look up. But over here, I mean, why wouldn't I be focused on those? I think those are black cardinals for sure. And then you've got some ugly anemas over here as well. They're also commonly grown as shade-loving houseplants. But you can see over here, yes, they are the understory, but they are not in darkness. They still want bright light, but they do make good houseplants. Over here, another plant in the ginger family in bloom and another heliconia. And over here, you can see it's starting to propagate itself, so they become really bushy really quickly. And over here, this is what the new flower is going to look like. The garden is right in the middle of the city. It was actually 1 minute walk from my hotel. So I really enjoyed that. And I love that they're using pothos over here as just an understory. This is a full carpet of pothos. And of course, also huge staghorn ferns. I mean, huge. Here you can see these structures that are as a result of that Lightscape festival, and that's why you also see a lot of roped up areas or roped off areas. So I think all of this white rope you see on the left and the right isn't normally here. Lightscapes obviously happens at nighttime, so I think they just put all of that there so people don't trample all over the plants during nighttime. But yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for our vlog because we see all of these electrical cables, all of the lights. Over here, for example, they're gonna light up this tree at nighttime, so you see all of the lights and speakers and cables and so on, which is a little bit distracting, but I'm sure it's worth it for anybody who ended up visiting at nighttime. Anyway, this tree is ginormous, and I love how it sends out the roots from its branches to kind of support itself. I mean, this is such a tropical look. And they had one on the other side as well, and over here this entire area, this entire garden bed, it's not really a garden bed, but you know what I mean, it's all syngoniums. Look at that. The syngoniums have absolutely taken over and then find their way up these roots and start growing up. And these syngoniums are a decent size as well. Even the ones that are just crawling along the floor, they actually have fairly large leaves, but they kept the arrow shape. And if we compare that to the ones that are actually growing up these roots, you can see that it starts splitting and having this trilobial effect, or like, you know, with maturity, which I don't really enjoy. I actually much prefer the arrow shape. Again, you can see all of these structures for the light show, which is a little bit distracting, but still, I think this is such a beautiful bench. I could sit there all day, but not today. We have lots to see, so let's move on. Another light installation over here. I reckon that would look pretty cool at nighttime, but I'm mainly distracted by this pothos on the left over here, trying to climb up this tree. You can see it was quite juvenile when it started, and within just a really short amount of space it matured really well and even shows fenestration. So at the end of the day, yes, support is important for maturity, but conditions will always set the potential, and they're growing in perfect conditions. I mean, that is huge. Super, super pretty. But let's go around the tree, because on the other side, it actually has many more fenestrations to show. Yep. Here we are. You can see these leaves at the top very much have fenestrated, just like Monsteras would. And it didn't take much space, right? It's like maybe 2 meters up the tree. They have a cafe at the Botanic Gardens as well, which is always good to know for coffee-obsessed people like me. And past the cafe is like the next section of the garden. It's kind of like a rainforest walk, I'd say. Now, in this rainforest walk, there were so many little paths, and my structure brain is just a bit upset because I want to take every path, but then I don't remember which path I've already taken. Why are they making me choose? Anyway, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just here to enjoy all of these plants as a collective. You know, I just went for a little morning browse and thought I'll take you along, and it's more about being surrounded by nature and appreciating the calming effect it can have on us, rather than trying to really identify specific species. But I understand that for the sake of the YouTube video, it would be nice if I would be able to tell you some of these species names a little bit more. But yeah, there weren't all too many labels, which is a little unfortunate. Again, lots and lots of infrastructure as a result of the Lightscapes festival. This plant, however, I was really hoping I would find a label for this one, but I'm sure as a community we can solve this problem. I love this plant. It looks like a ginormous pebble, really prehistoric. This one, I think, must be Philodendron martianum. The leaf shape looks like it. It has these thick petioles like a martianum, but I had no idea they could grow this big. So I definitely need to repot mine because I would love mine to be this big. Over here, my best guess would be that it's maybe a Rhaphidophora, just based on the leaf shape and the fact that it fenestrates, but please don't quote me. This one, my best guess would be an Epipremnum pennardum. I know that there is a Epipremnum pennardum native to Australia, and yeah, it kind of looked like it. Again, unfortunate, they had all of these fences built for that festival. So I think we definitely have to come back when all of the fencing is gone, so we can appreciate it better. Again, more of these Epipremnum pennardums. You can see them on almost every tree, and I'm just going to go for Epipremnum pennardum, but again, I could be slightly wrong. But it definitely looks like it's in the Epipremnum family, especially if you look at how the new leaves come out over here. There's a little bird. Super cute. Well, if I can't identify the plants, I definitely can't identify birds. Of course, the classic pothos trying to climb up anything. More Lightscapes. And this tree, I'm pretty sure it is commonly referred to as a water tree. I really wanted to get a bit closer, but yeah, it was all roped off because there's another light installations down below, but the ibis definitely enjoy that tree. It must be yummy because there is heaps and heaps of them around them. Big bottle tree over here, and then lots and lots of canna lilies over here in all sorts of colors. A little water dragon. I think. Like, I'm even worse with lizards than I am with birds, but they are also very common over here. And a cute little walkway, and have a look at these alocasias in the back. They look pretty big, but I couldn't get there. But I didn't realize that there were even more alocasias just around the corner, and those are absolutely huge. Definitely a little bit damaged, but again, we just started spring, so I mean, this is all probably winter growth, or at least all of this has survived over winter, and I have never ever seen an alocasia stem this thick. It's honestly the size of a tree. Little bit sun stressed, but yeah, pretty regardless. Over here, more alocasias, more foxtail palms. I really wanted to know this alocasia's ID, so if anybody knows the ID of this alocasia, please let me know down below. Just the size of it, but in combination with the veining, I think this was one of the most stunning plants in the whole garden. Really enjoyed that. And lots of the red Christmas heliconias again. I love how voraciously they flower, just heaps of them. More syngoniums, found palms and trees and watering poles and whatnot to climb on. And I had to have one more look at these alocasias because they were just so majestic. Absolutely stunning. And I've also noticed that there was one that kind of fell over. I mean, that gets me to see the leaf a little bit better, but it was very interesting. So it must have gotten so top heavy that it kind of just fell over and uprooted itself, but the plant is still thriving. So clearly the stem that then fell just started re-rooting, and all good. Over here, these must be Alocasia sabrinas, but I have never seen them that large. Like when we grow them inside, they definitely don't have that much potential to grow up. And over here, I finally remembered to eventually look up and was rewarded with a beautiful staghorn fern in this tree. Over here, golden pothos climbing up a palm, and you can really see how nicely it fenestrates. Even down here already, some lime zingers, lots and lots of caletheas, and another example of an alocasia just becoming too top heavy, falling over. Basically the whole root system is being ripped out of the ground, but I reckon, I mean I can't prove it, but I reckon this entire stem would have re-rooted into the ground to then support this big alocasia at the end of it. Nature will always find a way. Righty, we're nearing the end of the tour, and here's another example of the traveler's palm. Again, you can see that beautiful fan-like structure, and over here you can see the flowers, and they're green, which means it's a traveler palm. If they were blue and white, it would be a bird of paradise, but I've never seen a bird of paradise grow so organized like this. They're a little more wild. And another crazy wild golden pothos. You can see all of the stems and roots, and this has very much taken over the palm. There is no more palm left almost. It reached the very top. And here I am still yapping around, haven't realized the microphone is not working, but that's the end of the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment, and I'll see you next time around. Bye!